Good morning. Hi, we have
Hello.
Trevor there, meteorologist Trevor Roubadeaux, and I'm Brendan Kinney. We got Gib in the back.
Gib.
It's really his last name, but that's
what everybody calls him, though.
What we refer to him as, yeah. Appreciate you joining us here on this Thursday. It's been a very busy weather week. A lot of power crews in northern Michigan. We still have tens of thousands of power outages. We know, though, that Trevor, power crews are working very hard right now to restore power.
Yes, of course. It's. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that toss. I'm not sure I have much to add on that.
That's okay.
The weather has made things very difficult for them to work, certainly. Ice is very difficult to deal with. And then, you know, when you're trying to get everybody back up on their feet, another big system comes through with lots of snow and another round of rain. And then on top of that today, you just, you know, you think you're finally getting a break, you get a large, you know, you get a wind warning. So, you know, it's Mother Nature's making it very difficult, but, you know, that just makes it all the more impressive, but also, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess to be thankful to these people that they're still outside working despite the conditions. Now,
Trevor, before you go on, can you pull up the live camera of the bridge large real quick? It looks like people are starting to cross the bridge. It's been closed.
Oh, does that mean they've opened it?
For the good part of 4 days. Gib, can you check the status for us real quick?
Oh, yeah, you're right. There are cars crossing.
Maybe breaking news right here in the Upper Flag Digital Studio.
At 8:36?
Yeah.
They did mention there was the probability that they would open it at 7.
You know what? It's now open. I got a text. Yep. Mackinac Bridge is now open.
After being closed for, how many consecutive days has it been?
Well, it's been off and on for about 4 days because of falling ice.
Right. You're right.
Yeah. So that's a big development there in the Straits of Mackinac.
Yeah, this is the longest the bridge has been closed in the time that I've been here. Like, there have been times when it's closed briefly for a high wind warning or it's been too snowy for people to cross, but it's never been off and on, like, questionable like this for 4+ days in my entire time being here.
Yeah.
The bridge is pretty resilient. I would say, one of the most impressive mechanical structures ever built by engineers that have worked around here. And how old is it? It was built back in like the 50s, right?
It's been open since 1957, I believe.
Yeah, so I could say it looks better than its years. It's a very impressive mechanical structure.
It really is, yeah. And in fact, the bridge staff been saying the ice has been unprecedented. And yeah, the bridge, like we've been talking about, has been around for a while. So for bridge staff to say that, that's definitely impactful, and especially to travel too, impactful. People can't get from the lower peninsula to the upper peninsula and from the other side to the lower peninsula.
Yeah, it's like we've gotten so used to traveling via the bridge now that's going around the other way seems almost archaic. It's like it's hard to think that we used to do that back in the day. It's like you wanted to get to the upper peninsula from here, you'd have to go the longest trip possible all the way down through southern Michigan and back up towards Wisconsin.
Well, they had ferries.
Oh.
Yeah, there were ferries there in the Straits, like car ferries, yeah.
Wait, they had car ferries? That I actually did not know.
Yep.
I actually didn't know. I knew you could take yourself, like, through a ferry boat, but I didn't know that they had car ferries back then.
Now, I don't know when the ferries started, but at least before the bridge opened, yeah, there were car ferries.
Sort of like is it sort of like the one over like Drummond Island? I know they have a car ferry.
Yep, there's a car ferry there. Of course, the Badger going from Ludington to Manitowoc, and then there's the one from Muskegon to Milwaukee. And but anyway, so yeah, so I know I got down a little rabbit hole there, but we don't see any traffic right now. So I imagine some people were just like, nah, I'm not sure how long it's gonna be closed. We're turning around, but it's also been affecting food distribution. We had a story this morning, Trevor, on affecting food distribution to the Upper Peninsula. The driver turned around, went back to Grand Rapids. Anyway, a lot of impacts with this ice storm. So, well, Joel said longest closure ever. You know something that I don't know.
If that's true, I honestly wouldn't disbelieve it. Like, it feels like it's been closed forever. We've been covering that story all week.
Yeah.
And the bridge staff saying unprecedented. And I would agree with that. Unprecedented is definitely the right word. I spoke multiple times in the previous Facebook Lives this week that it's like what we had is at the very least, it's a once-in-a-generation storm, maybe once in a lifetime. So unprecedented is certainly the right word to use there.
Yep. The floor is yours now, Trevor. Thanks for letting me interject.
No problem. Always good to talk about current weather stuff. Today, for the most part, it should be good. I guess we should address the weather quiz first, huh?
Sure.
What is the only known hurricane with a life that has spanned across 2 calendar years? And I just want to elaborate a little bit because there may be some people who get confused by the question and exactly what it means. I'm not saying a hurricane that has lasted 2 years. A hurricane that has crossed 2 different calendar years. So, like, I guess to just say specifically, this hurricane would have been a hurricane that started in late December and then crossed over to January of that next year. So it was really only like several days long, about I think it was 7 to 10 days like a normal hurricane is, but it crossed 2 different calendar years. And this hurricane is the only hurricane in known history to do it, which goes to show like how crazy that is. We don't have hurricanes that late. Official hurricane season is usually from June until the end of November. And even then, the end of November is usually as a precautionary measure because we sometimes have hurricanes in mid to late November. But having hurricanes beyond that is unheard of. And so this one was really, to use this word again, a really unprecedented hurricane in which the timing would happen. Now, I will say the impacts of this hurricane were not very major at all because it was so late in the year that it didn't have much energy to feed off of. But regardless, it has made its history in its own way due to its timing. So we'll give you time to answer that.
Yeah. We'll have that answer coming up here after Trevor's forecast.
And then the forecast for today looks really simple. I don't really have much to talk about just because of how simple it is. We started the day very mild, and we still are pretty mild for the most part. Our high temperatures at this time of the year are usually anywhere in the mid-40s to low 50s, usually no greater than 55 at the beginning of April. Now, we skyrocket through the end of April. April has the largest jump in average temperatures at any point throughout the year. At the beginning of April, it's usually, if you're in the northern lower, high 40s, low 50s. By the end of April, we're getting close to mid-60s and even 70s. So a large temperature jump over the course of this month is expected. So for those wondering when we're going to finally get some warmer temperatures, wait a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks at max, and we should be getting there. We're getting really close. Winter can only last for so long before Mother Nature herself just kind of interjects and goes like, all right, that's enough. I think you've overstayed your welcome. Warm front moved through yesterday. Obviously, lots of rain. We started with snow, lots of rain overnight, and in the evening, we got warmer temperatures overnight. It was in the 50s at one point in Traverse City. Now the temperatures have actually come down since then. And that's going to be the story for the remainder of today, is temperatures are actually going to steadily decrease, not by very much, but in some areas they will steadily decrease ever so slightly, but will stay in the mid-40s for the most part in the northern lower and right around the high 30s and low 40s in the eastern upper today for our daytime highs. So we started off warm, a little, it's certainly damp. We had fog in the morning across the bridge and into the eastern upper. I haven't actually checked on the current visibility as of late, so I can look at it now. As I expected, it looks like it's entirely gone, which is in line with what I was thinking, is at this point, you don't usually get the wet overnight fog at this point in the morning anymore. So it looks like we're not dealing with fog anymore. Good. I'll go ahead and get into overhead radar. There's not really much to show. I guess what I can show is this system that passed is actually not totally past us yet. So everything that came through yesterday was the warm front, right? And you could see all the rain and mix and snow associated with this system is well off to our east now. And the actual line of this cold front going all the way down to parts of Arkansas, even all the way over to Oklahoma and Dallas. This is all just the same system spanning like half the country. It's really a really impressive and large system, and there is severe weather expected down in parts of Louisiana and Alabama today from this same system. Not as impressive as yesterday. We did have a high risk over parts of Kentucky and southern Illinois and Missouri and also northern Tennessee yesterday, right in this pocket. There was significant weather. I'd have to look back on how many tornadoes there were, but when I checked in on it at radar at one point, at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night last night, I had briefly woken up after being asleep obviously, I get up early in the morning, so I was asleep. I briefly woke up and I decided to check on it. I think I saw like 9 or 10 tornado warnings at one point, all at the same time. So very, very impactful weather down there. And for us, it crossed. But the actual low pressure for this system, to get back to my original point, is just north of us. Right? So the system is actually not totally past us yet. It's just to our north. And so that's the low pressure swinging just north of us. You can kind of see the very disorganized snow swirling around in a counterclockwise pattern, because that's exactly where the low is centered, right over parts of, what is this, like, looks like parts of Canada, like, or maybe parts of far northeastern Lake Superior this morning. And that low pressure is actually the reason why we still have clouds around. And so you can kind of see the clouds swirling in on the back of this system. And so as the system crosses us, we're actually going to add a little bit of cloud cover. So you can see over the past 3 hours, we decreased a lot of cloud cover, especially down south. And now that the system is, the low pressure swirling past us, it's going to funnel in more clouds today. And so we'll be in and out cloud cover for the majority of the day. Most people will say mostly cloudy skies. Some people may even be overcast for the majority of the day. But I still think there will be some sunshine at times that they can peek through throughout the entirety of the day. And then as far as the stormcast is concerned, well, we're not really expecting any rain. Because the low pressure is crossing just to our north, there's enough moisture and just a tiny amount of instability, enough that there is the possibility for, as the system crosses us, that we could dodge a few showers. A few, isolated, maybe a couple, a drizzle, like nothing much. The majority of the day will be just cloudy and dry, and then there in the afternoon, you see in the afternoon the possibility to dodge a few rain showers here or there, maybe even some light mix or flurries in the far northern regions of the eastern upper possible, but for the majority of the day, it's going to be dry. The real story today is the intense wind gusts with this system that's crossing with the low pressure crossing to our north. We have very intense wind gusts today. And so that's what we're going to have to deal with. This is not the updated one. Where is the updated one? I'm using the wrong graphic. There it is. This is an old graphic that I haven't updated yet. That was from a previous show. There's the updated one. Wind advisory over the Straits counties today. So that is Charlevoix County, Emmett County, Sheboygan County, Presqu'île County, and the eastern part of Mackinac County and far southeastern Chippewa County extending towards Drummond Island, and it looks like Rayber is included in there as well. Our friend and weather watcher Bob in Rayber under a wind advisory this morning. That'll hang on until 6 p.m. today for very heavy wind gusts. Now, the wind advisories may be over the Straits, but that doesn't mean that they're the only ones going to be dealing with wind. Everybody's going to have very hefty wind gusts today, but the Straits region is where we think it's going to be the most intense. And then I guess I could just get into our wind gust forecast. So here we go. Many people, there's a good chance if you go outside right now, you're at least dealing with some manner of gusty winds. As we continue throughout the morning, winds will continue to increase. So late this morning, just a few hours from now, winds will be very near their peak around northern Michigan today. Many spots will be in the 30s for wind gusts on the higher end. Some isolated areas or even scattered areas around northern Michigan will get into the upper 30s and low 40s for wind gusts. And then in the afternoon, we'll have a steady westerly wind. But again, those wind gusts sticking around 40-plus miles per hour. The Straits region, where we have the wind advisories, could get as high as 50-plus miles per hour. And 50-plus miles per hour wind gusts, if you have the potential for forecasted winds at 50 or more, is the level at which you get wind advisories. So those regions are where we're expecting the most wind. Everywhere else, still fairly gusty. And then by the evening, we'll eventually slowly, as the system actually departs, the low pressure that's just to the north of us that I showed you, once that finally gets out of here, the difference between the pressure between our area and the actual low pressure will not be as great, and then we'll decrease our wind, because for those who don't know, that's what causes wind is the difference between pressure in two areas. And with the low pressure being north of us, and obviously we're so close to the low pressure that we get higher winds. So once that leaves, we decrease our pressure differential and we get our winds down to almost nothing tonight. And so we go from basically no wind, very calm winds, or rather the other way around, very gusty winds to calm winds in the matter of just 12 hours or less today. So it's just the epitome of bipolar Michigan weather, huh? Some way, somehow, the Michigan finds a way to surprise us. So that's really the only thing we have to deal with today. And over the course of tonight, our temperatures will get back below freezing. And so any areas that are still holding on to some dampness or wet roads, you may have freezing in some spots. I suspect it won't be an issue. I don't think it'll be an issue at all, especially when we're going to get warmer tomorrow again anyways. Friday, we'll have even warmer temperatures than today, getting up into the 50s. We'll start the weekend off fairly quiet. Now, there is the chance for some rain south. I actually, now that I mentioned that, I want to show that. I was going to show this tomorrow anyways because tomorrow's Friday, but I guess I could show it today too just as a teaser to get into what we're looking at for the weekend, specifically on Saturday, because it depends on exactly where you are and also the finer details of the system, like the exact tracking of this low pressure that we're expecting that will impact us, that will determine what we'll end up seeing overall. For the most part, Saturday, it looks like most areas in the south have the chance for some rain, but as of right now, in the interior, in the northern lower, and close to the eastern upper, it looks like we could just dodge a lot of this. And so right now, we're looking at some rain south and southeast. Everybody else will stay dry, but just windy and cloudy on Saturday. Now, if the trajectory of this changes to more northward, then we could have more widespread rain. But for now, we'll say rain to the southeast. Everybody else looks quiet on Saturday. That system will pass by, and then we'll get a plunge of cooler air. And so even though we're now in early April, it looks like we're going to have another round of near freezing temperatures on Monday and Tuesday with the potential for a few snow showers early next week. And that's about it.
All right. And in case you're just joining us here on Facebook, YouTube, X, whatever it may be, you can see behind Trevor, there's traffic on the Mackinac Bridge. So traffic opened, what was that, 8:36 or something like that? And so if you think about it too, Trevor, that is such a critical piece of infrastructure in Michigan. You have trucks carrying food, clothes, fuel. There have been fuel shortages in the Sault Ste. Marie area. Food distribution has been impacted by these bridge closures. And of course, that's all to keep people safe because ice falling off the towers and the cables and things like that. But how impactful. And so some of our friends are sharing some information they have about bridge closures in the past. But anyway, Mackinac Bridge back open. It was a little bit of breaking news here earlier in the digital studio. We'll get to comments here, Trevor. We'll say hi to Paul, saying good morning from Rogers City. I really wish the power would come back. He's saying hi, everyone.
Hello, Paul.
Joel saying good morning from from Pleasanton. I had to catch myself there because he's on the porch because he has a gas fireplace. He has joined the No Electricity Club. It's 43 and cloudy. He's normally in the Pleasanton Patriots pub. But you know what? I guess maybe it's one specific place in his house that the pub is at, Trevor. I'm also looking too deeply into this, but I guess the porch is not a part of it. Joel is a longtime viewer, and we always talk about the pub that he has there.
Yep.
But he had to go to town for coffee. It's really good coffee, he says. That's good to hear. He's guessing Alice. He's saying that the previous bridge closure was 20 hours. This one was more than 22 hours. Joel's friend in Alanson has been out of power since Saturday. That's a tough go for sure.
Yeah.
Consumer says restoration 3 p.m. Hopefully Joel doesn't have to get the generator out, he says. So that's for him. He's in northern Manistee County, Trevor. And he has a small fire in the outdoor boiler. They don't like power outages, he says. So that's the latest from Joel for the moment. Appreciate you watching as always, Joel, even without power here. Paula saying happy Friday Eve from Boyne Falls. It's cloudy, it's windy, and it's 45 where she is. Gail said it's 40 degrees, still windy where she is, I'm guessing in Kingsley, unless she's out and about traveling. Barb saying it's 42 and partly cloudy in Glennie. Dave saying hello from Estero, Florida. It's 72. You want to guess, Trevor, how warm it's going to be in Florida today where Dave is? It's 72 now.
Mid-90s.
Not far off. 90 is what he's saying.
Oh.
I feel for all of Michigan and people still without power. Now they have to deal with the wind. Yeah, Trevor's been warning us about that. Kathy's excited, woke up to no ice. The no ice part is all in caps.
Yep.
We're staying at my sister's near Fairview. Linemen were working, running chainsaws last night after midnight. God bless them, she says. We have my mom chiming in from downstate. Hi, Mom. She's saying good morning, Facebook friends. Rained and thunderstorms most of the day yesterday. Very stressful for Benji.
Yeah.
And another stressful day because he's getting groomed today. So he's going to be pooped later today. Going to take a long nap. It's normally the day after an event that he gets really tired. And my mom says, poor little guy. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks, Mom. Susie Q is down in Florida as well. She's in Inglewood. It's going to be 86 today. It's 75 now. Praying for Michigan, especially Gaylord, to get the help they need so badly. We said goodbye to our friends from, looks like, their area that they're staying in. Now we are at the house that they rent. And I have some great friends coming tomorrow, stay for a few days. And she's off to a farmer's market. Have fun, Susie Q. Darlene saying 2018, apparently the bridge was closed for 20 hours, and the bridge never closes for first responders and emergencies. Yes, valid point. But to everybody else, gotta wait to cross. Nancy, you know what? I think you can answer Nancy's question/concern. She said, you forgot to put a temp on Beaver Island. Why is that, Trevor?
Oh, that's because it's not that I forgot. It's because it's not reporting.
Yeah.
Because they do not have power.
Yep.
Many areas in the Northern Lower are still the same way. We've been keeping an eye on this map for a while, but I think for those who've been paying attention for a long time now, Gaylord, we've had issues with the Gaylord station for months now, and it won't get fixed. We don't know how to fix it. But looks like Beaver Island, Sheboygan, Rogers City, and Alpena are still not reporting, which means that at the very least the power at those weather stations are still not working. And power there has not been restored yet. So that's the reason. It's not just Beaver Island. Sheboygan, Rogers City, and Alpena also still not reporting. And very likely Gaylord also wouldn't be reporting anyhow because they're one of the most impacted areas. They would probably still be without power. And I know they are because our Gaylord camera still does not work as of 5 minutes ago. Because I was just looking at that. It still doesn't work.
Yep.
But even without that, we've had reporting issues from our weather station in Gaylord for months now, and we just don't know how to fix it. We need some otherworldly engineer to help us, and we just won't do it. So we'll get it fixed at some point. But yes, it's not a matter of us forgetting to put on the temperatures. It's that they are not reporting because they simply cannot.
Appreciate the explanation. Now that's all computerized equipment, right, Trevor? At
yes.
Airports mostly?
Yes, almost all of them are airports.
Okay.
They report. Oh wait, I need to put up the quiz. They report. I forget what the exact reporting metric is, but I'm pretty sure it's once every 5 minutes. Okay. They report directly to this. Like we have a data feed. There's computers here and there's computers way back in our computer area that's just an absolute mess. Not visually, but it's like for me mentally just looking at it, I'm just like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm not a computer guy, so looking at any of that is an absolute. But if you saw our computer racks back there, you'd understand. It's
a lot of cables.
It's ridiculous back there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's like 1,000 cables back there. Yeah. What in the world? No. Anyway, all of that is connected to a very complex system where we're connected digitally to all these, weather stations around the area. And we've been trying to get more. Like I'd like to get one over near Mayo and Atlanta, so we could get one in parts of, Montmorency and also Oscoda counties would be nice. But we simply don't have one there. But yes, those are all automated, and so they report to us directly. We don't pull the data directly. Our computers do that. But if the computers are not receiving the data for whatever reason, in this case because there's no power and because they can't forward the data, then we don't get it. And it's not like we don't have any weather watches on Beaver Island that could tell us what the temperature is.
Yeah.
And so we simply can't update the map. And then again, we wouldn't be able to physically implant the numbers in the map because the map, the internal coding of the map, the numbers are put in automatically from the computer system. That's automatically generated. So it's not like we can just physically plant a number. We'd have to make an entirely new graphic for that, which would be, that's just way more effort than it's worth.
Appreciate the explanation. It is always fun to kind of learn behind the scenes and why things work the way they do, or don't work.
Or don't work in this case, yes.
Yeah. And who else? Darlene saying the bridge closed 30 times in 1995 for ice.
30 times?
Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's bad.
Tina watching from Charlotte, downstate. Thank you, Tina, for watching. Susie Q is guessing Alice. Paula guessing Mitch. Paul saying the pub is in his basement. You know, thanks for the reminder, Paul. I think you're right about Joel. So if Joel's not in his basement, he's not in the pub.
He's not in the pub.
He's on the porch. Okay, got it. Susan is guessing Alice. Bethel watching, not too far from Joel. Bethel's in Manistee. And no ice. Looks like Darlene's watching from Springvale Township. No ice few 108 hours. I don't know exactly what that means. But Darlene, thank you for the information about the bridge. That's interesting. Susan is saying morning again. It's cloudy. It's 40 here in Kalkaska. And Joel saying my porch is dubbed Pleasanton Patriots Porch Pub. Oh, this is getting good. This is good.
All right. That's good to know. That's quite the mouthful.
Porch Pub. And Joel is wondering if the cell service is out in Alanson because he hasn't been able to talk to his buddy since Saturday. We had something that we ran yesterday from the Emmett County Sheriff's Office.
Outage in Emmett County, right?
There was a Verizon outage. Good memory, Trevor, yeah. And last time I checked, the Facebook page was yesterday, so I'm not sure if there is an update. But Joel, that very well could be the case with Verizon out. And I think I saw some other providers too. Okay, looks like we're all caught up. So what is the answer, Trev?
The answer for this one is Alice. It's a very, very old one. And again, this hurricane was not significant at all. The only thing significant about this hurricane was the timing. It became the only hurricane in history, or at least in recorded history, that we have records back to, that it had a lifespan from very late December that was over till the next year. So the timing was December 30th, 1954 through January 6th, 1955. Very short-lived hurricane with very low intensity. It didn't do anything. But
before we go to weather quiz standings, Trevor, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So the reason why I didn't choose Alice, because I got this one wrong again today. So wouldn't the new year, since it started December 30th, I would think that it would not be an A name. I would think that it would be later in the alphabet. I'm just wondering why it's A and it was the end of 1954. You know what I mean?
What probably, because you're right, what probably happened was they ran through the list and then used a secondary one. So this is kind of hard to explain, but here's I'd have to go back to know that this may have not happened, and maybe it could just be that the rules were different back in the 50s.
Could be.
I don't know for sure, but the way it works now is we have a list pre-planned. We have one name for each, like each letter has one name.
Yeah.
Right? We go through it. Once hurricane season, not when it's hurricanes, whenever a new year starts, we have those names, A through Z. Once all of them are used, and you use, this doesn't happen very often, but once you use Z, it's like, well, what happens if there's another hurricane after Z? Then they go back to A again.
The Greek alphabet? Do they?
No, the normal alphabet.
Or alpha, or alpha and beta?
Nope, it just
restarts
on the regular normal alphabet again. They have a secondary list of names that they can use in case they run out. Again, this happens very rarely. I can't remember a time in my lifetime where we went through Z and had to go back to A in 1 year. That could have happened in 54. Or it's just that the rules were different back then, and they considered the end of hurricane season the end of the year, and they already switched over. I don't know for sure, because this was a long time ago. I wasn't even close to being alive back then.
A lot of our viewers were alive back then, yeah.
Maybe somebody knows the exact answer to that, but you would normally be right. If we're at the very end of a hurricane season, there's a very high, you're probably not going to have a hurricane that starts with A.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rules could have been very different back then. Just a fun fact, the other two hurricane names, Opal and Mitch, were actually, unlike Alice, those two were actually significant hurricanes that have had their names retired. Because they were very damaging hurricanes and will never be used. So Opal and Mitch, there will never be another hurricane named that because they are very damaging hurricanes. Both of those hurricanes were in the 70s, by the way. So they were a long time ago. We have not had an Opal or a Mitch in a long, long time because they've been retired. Alice, however, has not been retired because it wasn't a significant storm. It was just one that happened unprecedentedly late in the year. So yeah, just a little fun fact for you.
Okay, now we can show the standings.
Now we can show the
Good,
standings,
yeah.
yes. And Director Gibb and producer Sarah are still a perfect 4 for 4. I gotta really break out the crazy hard trivia tomorrow. I gotta make it so that there's no possible way they can get it right unless they just get lucky with a guess. I gotta stump. If I can stump even one of them tomorrow, I'll consider it a victory. Brendan and our Facebook viewer are 1 for 4, both this week. Our Facebook viewer, I think, it was Gail. I completely forgot, but I went back to check. Our Facebook viewer this morning was Gail, who answered. I can't remember what her guess was, but anyhow,
I think she guessed the same. We both guessed Opal.
Opal, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And Gibb is telling us something. What? 2 Hurricane Alice's in 1954.
Oh, so they were.
The first happened in June.
In June, so right around when hurricane season starts, so that makes sense.
So there are 2. Yeah, you can relay what Gibb's saying if you want, Trev. So he is still looking into the reason.
All right, so he's still looking into the reason why. So apparently the name, so even that is not supposed to happen. By today's standards, if they have to reuse a letter, it's a completely different name.
Yeah.
It's like if they use Alice this year and then go all the way through Z, which again is very unlikely, the next A that they use would not be Alice. It would be a different A. So
Gibb is, our research team in the back is, there was a tropical storm Zeta. Yeah, thanks for looking into that, Gibb. Yeah, there's still some questions, but nonetheless, it's interesting.
yeah. It sounds like, based on what we're hearing from our Mr. Researcher in the back, it sounds like there is a possibility that they actually did go through the entire alphabet in 1954 and had to reuse a name.
Yeah.
But again, if that were to happen in modern day, they wouldn't reuse Alice. They would use a different A.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year.
That'd be too
So that's
confusing.
interesting. Hurricanes of 1954. Let's see. I'm curious now. I want to get to the bottom of this.
Do you want me to read some more comments while you research?
Yes.
Gail was thinking the same thing as I was. Maybe only had the one hurricane in 54. Well, as you can tell now, Gail, our research team is digging into the facts. Kathy is saying it's a chilly morning here in Lakes of the North, still without power, but very grateful for the hubby and our generator. Kathy, it's always good to hear from you. I know Kathy personally, so I hope the power comes back on soon. We know the power crews are working hard. And then Paul wants to know, what about Andrew? Yeah, Andrew hit South Florida.
Yep.
What was
Andrew.
that, 92?
Andrew's retired, isn't it?
Yeah.
Andrew's been
I would
retired.
imagine. Was that 92? Trevor, does that sound right?
I think so.
In fact, I just saw yesterday 3 names, I think, were retired in 2024.
Yes, and one of those was one of the ones that impacted us. Andrew was 92.
Okay.
And then hurricane names. Yep. So all right. So like literally all 3 of the hurricanes that we covered extensively, even here outside of the hurricane blast zone, were the ones that retired. So you may remember Hurricane Beryl. Absolutely horrendous. Like damages with Beryl. One of the most damaging. I think we're still calculating the damage. One of the more damaging hurricanes that we've seen in recent memory. Beryl was retired. And then right after that, if you remember, right after that, we were covering like the recovery process in Beryl, and then it was like not even a week later that Helene came through. Helene also got retired, and then later on in the year, Milton was retired. I think Milton was like almost a month after those, and I don't think Milton impacted the same people. I don't remember Milton too well, but I remember that Beryl and Helene were very close to each other, and it was like really bad.
Yeah.
There was a lot of activity in that week. It was crazy.
Yeah. Did you want to keep researching, or you want to wrap this thing up here?
All right, so I see something. This is from the NOAA. This is from NOAA. This almost feels like a research item that they've put in through here. Is this only? This might only be talking about the impactful hurricanes. Where are the names? I don't even see the names. Okay, this is not getting me anywhere. There was a very catastrophic hurricane named Hurricane Carol in 1954. Carol actually got retired.
Do you want to look into it and give us an update tomorrow?
Sure.
You want to do that? Okay.
Yeah. We're already running pretty late on this one. I don't want to keep us, especially if we're not just going to be sitting here in silence until I find an answer.
We're in record territory with the link, which is fine. I mean, we have the time. Gib had his snack, so he's not hangry or anything. So
Hangry.
he's good. Right, Gib? No comment.
No comment from Gib.
Let's talk about tomorrow, because tomorrow's going to be a fun day on the TV side of things.
We're going down to Comerica Park, not Fenway Park. That's the mistake I made yesterday. Still don't know where Fenway Park is. Not sure why I made that,
Boston,
or why I made that mistake. But Comerica Park is where we're going.
Yeah.
And
it's the Tigers' home opener tomorrow, Trevor.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's already baseball season.
Yeah.
You know the one thing that I really like about baseball season?
What?
This, or specifically this time of baseball season, the beginning of baseball season, it's a reminder that we are very close to NHL playoffs, which is my favorite time of the year.
Coming up in June, right? Is
Yes.
that when they win the Stanley Cup?
It starts in mid-April. June is usually when it goes through.
Like ends, yeah.
Playoffs usually come from like mid-April through the end of June, typically. Sometimes it ends a little bit earlier than that if rounds go by fast, like if there's not multiple Game 7s each round, then usually. But yeah, last year the Cup final game was on like June 15th.
Really?
Game 17 between the Oilers and Panthers was like June 15th or something. It was super late.
Yeah.
One of the longest playoff stretches I've ever seen. But anyway, that's the one thing that I like about. One of the only things I like about baseball season is that when it starts, it reminds me that playoffs for the hockey are close.
Leave it to Trevor to transition from baseball to
I'll be
hockey.
honest, I don't
just
like baseball
that.
and I don't pay attention to it. So
That's okay. Well, we know a lot of our friends love baseball, and it's maybe a fun thing. Oh, yeah, getting that energy out. Yeah, a fun thing for people to do to go to Comerica in downtown Detroit. So Madison will be there live. I think she's going to have 3 interviews, so I think she may be live like 5:50-ish.
Oh, wow.
Don't quote me, but definitely 6:15 and 6:45. You can watch on TV, or we stream live all the time on upnorthlive.com. By all the time, I mean like every day we stream. Yeah, he does. Slay is absolutely right. And Gib loves that graphic so much that he's playing it again. So our coverage starts at 4:30, just, well, I shouldn't say just, but news and weather. And then Madison's live reports start in our 5 a.m. hour, if I'm not mistaken. And then we end at 7. And then we're doing this again at 8:35.
Yep.
And then Harrison Beebe, our sports director, is also going to be live in our evening shows. And so that's going to be great with live team coverage all day as we get ready for the Tiger season. And Gib was saying something. Gib doesn't know if this is the right answer. But Gib is using Google, Googling 1954 hurricane season. And it said, where's this coming from, first of all, Gib? We have to cite our sources. Do you want to just let Trevor?
he said, never mind.
Okay, all right, yeah, we'll let Trevor look into it. But I do appreciate Gib and the research team working hard this morning. We appreciate that. And Susie Q's husband used to play baseball. He always wins at cornhole and wins shirts at booths. So that's fun, yeah. We are going to end there. This might be the longest digital studio broadcast we've ever had. And Gib, any final messages for our friends? Okay. Trevor, anything?
Nope.
All right. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.